Migrating to a new country is a life-changing decision that comes with a mix of excitement, anticipation, and inevitable challenges. Whether you are seeking a better opportunity or opportunities, a safer environment, or a fresh start, moving to a new land requires thorough preparation and understanding of that new environment. For many, the journey can be filled with unexpected surprises and learning curves that only becomes apparent once you've settled in. So the idea of moving to another country is exciting. And oftentimes you would have probably had friends or families living overseas that sometimes it's not that they don't tell you the truth as to the lifestyle, as to the challenges, but it is possibly also that they themselves are still going through it. My name is Joel Bennett. Welcome to the show called One Step. Let's talk about the journey. In this script, I want to highlight a few things I wish I had known prior to moving to the beautiful country called Canada. Because we do get caught up in the excitement of foreign or a foreign country. But the truth is, most of us don't or did not do our research as to what the experience, what the change, or what the decision that we have made, what it really does entitle. And for some unfortunate reason, people tend to not do a very good job either of sharing these experiences and, being honest and open as to, how is it going? Did I make a good choice? Was my decision justified, worth it, having decided to relocate to wherever you decide to relocate to? For me, I am currently in the beautiful country called Canada. Now, what are some of the things that I wish I knew prior to making the decision to migrate? I ask that you stay tuned if you want to find out my opinions of such decision. Now, let's be real. First of all, why do you need to migrate? Or why do you want to migrate in the first place? Yes, for others, it's probably multiple reasons, which I'm sure includes a better life. Probably I want to study abroad, or my life situation has cornered me and I have now decided that I want a change, whatever that is. And also I want to highlight that the decision to migrate can be personal. And so our situations might not be the same, but hopefully I can offer my experiences and maybe enlighten someone who is thinking of relocating to maybe the US or Canada or some parts of Europe or wherever. So the first question I wish I had asked myself is, why do I need to migrate? Because the thing is, and these are just my opinions now, please don't come down hard on me because I'm being very opinionated, but we need to look into our situations and identify facts and fictions. We need to weigh the pros and the cons when it comes to making such a life-changing decision. So, the question I would ask you out there is, if you own a business, or if you are from a certain type of family demographic, have you assessed your life to see if you really need to relocate to another country? Because bear in mind, no matter how we decide to beat around the bush, this is a decision that will change your life and whatever trajectory that you hoped you would have maybe build for your future. It will change the trajectory, and for good reasons too, as well as not so good. But nevertheless, I do believe that all things work together for good. So I asked myself, if I had a business and if I was doing well in that business for myself and possibly my family, if I am at the time, do I need to relocate to another foreign country? Because bear in mind that moving to, for example, a country like Canada, it means starting over, and starting over in every way possible. You see, unless the setup or the plan for you has already been structured. And what I mean by that, let's say you have family overseas already that has established themselves, and you're literally leaving to go into a job or an opportunity that will somewhat keep you on the same level that you're on in your home country. Now, that situation is totally different. But if you are going to be giving up a personal business, something that you have built from the ground up, that you're doing fairly decent with, do you really think that you really still need to go to a foreign country? I would say closely assess that thought, closely assess that situation, because once you leave and give up everything that you have given up, it's somewhat difficult to start over. I'll share a story that someone imparted to me some time ago. So I ran into this lady in Walmart here in Canada, and don't get me wrong, I won't call a person's name, but her husband was already here in the beautiful country called Canada. And if you guys want to know which province, it's Edmonton, Alberta. So Alberta, to be more specific. Now, this individual was a bank manager or someone higher up in management. She was well established as far as she told me. And let me just get to the facts. Where I saw her in Walmart, she was working as a cashier. Now, nothing against cashier, no, a job is a job. But I'm just trying to share a situation with you guys so you can have more information to make such a drastic decision when it comes to relocate. Now, she was married and her husband was already overseas. He was here building, getting set up, doing life and getting ready to bring his family over. And so she was already a successful career woman. They have children together, of course. And so for her family, she decided that, my husband is overseas and he has established things for us, and I need to brace myself because I want to keep my family together. And so this woman, Jane Doe, gave up her job, gave up her career, gave up her entire life, and she came over with her kids to be with her husband. Now, I am not sure if she actually did her research as to what it's going to be like for her career, because obviously that was important to her from what she had shared with me. But she came over and she started to apply for banking jobs because that's what she knew. She was already working in banking. And to this day, and I don't know the specifics as to why she was or have not been successful with landing that job. The situations might be diverse and maybe some things were not divulged to me. But long story short, she is still not able to land a job in banking. And she is coming from a country that she was already a very much educated woman, very much established woman in her profession. But from what I've heard from her, one, she's thinking of going back to school to do something else. So the point of this is you have to make sure that you do your research in terms of where your career is concerned, where your profession is concerned, and see if there are prospects for you to be able to get back that similar job or career path that you were on, because it might not be coming to a foreign country. So one, do your research where your career, where your profession is concerned, and see if it is possible for you to transition into something similar to what you're in. See if your educational qualifications is comparable to what is in the country that you are moving to, because it might not. So that's something that you need to know. Now I have a list of points here that I'm gonna just peek at. So we look at the why am I migrating? Do I need to migrate? And we look at, is it possible for me to transition into something similar to what I'm in? So if I'm in banking, am I going to be able to go back into banking? If I'm a nurse, am I going to be able to get a job as a nurse? It might not. You might have to do some reassessment to fall into that same line of work that you're in your home country. Now, the other one is understanding cultural differences. This is a sticky one. I'm not going to be able to go all into this point, but it is a big deal. Canadians, and I'm going to use where I am as an example, Canadians are known for their politeness and friendliness. However, this can sometimes come across as reserved or distant, especially compared to where you are from and wherever that is, whether it be the Caribbean, whether it be Africa, whether it be Europe, wherever it is. So it might seem that way, but you need to understand how the culture is, where the differences are concerned. So how you socialize where you are from might not necessarily be how Canadians socialize. You know, for example, we Jamaican, we like to shout at each other, yo, what go on? You say that to someone on the street here, they might, feel attacked, overwhelmed because of just your social dynamic. So know the differences where the culture is concerned. And let me just be blunt. A smile don't mean, I'm happy to see you. A smile don't necessarily mean, welcome. You know what I mean? So again, talk to friends who are overseas. Understand what the cultural difference is. Understand what the social part of living in Canada is like, because who you know, which is yourself and maybe your family or whoever you're migrating with, it's not gonna be the same in over this side of the fence, if you know what I mean. And as time goes by, you will learn, but what I'll say is, after you migrate, you don't necessarily need to come and change who you are. You're still a unique individual. You still bring some flavor, some difference to this part of the world. And you will make and I'll say, just be who you are and keep your uniqueness, keep your genuine part of who you are. Not because this side looks a certain way, I mean, you need to be that certain way or that sort of way. No, please keep your genuine side, keep your originality, and bring some diversity to what diversity should be. All right, so what's the other point I have here? So multicultural society. Now, what is that? Now, where Canada is concerned, and again, remember, I'm using Canada as my example. It's where I am. That's where I decided to relocate to. Canada prides itself on being multicultural. While this is true, and it is true, because Canada is so huge, there's so many different provinces, and multicultural, so, and the multicultural part of the community, it varies so much. So like I said, this can still be a underlying prejudice and stereotype that you will or may encounter. So you will encounter a situation where, because you're of a certain ethnicity, of a certain color, you know, it might not be that you're gonna be comfortable or accepted there. That is the reality. So yes, Canada prides itself on being a multicultural society, but it's not always the case. Let's just say that, because for some, yes, all are welcome, but for others, it's not too welcoming. So I'm gonna try to choose my words wisely here, because this is still a media platform, and I still live in Canada, if you understand what I mean. So I don't want to spend too much time on the weather aspect, because you all know that this is Canada, this is the north, and so it does get brutally cold here. And to a certain extent, yes, I might need to, because when I first came here, I brought clothes that I thought were gonna be good enough for the weather. But man, was I fooled, because it wasn't. You know what I mean? So if you have the extra spending account, if you have enough money, you know, it's good to do some research also as to what type of clothes you're gonna need for the winter. And you might need to layer up to a certain extent too, because your body is gonna go through that phase where even when you dress warm, it's still gonna be a little bit overwhelming. So you're gonna really need time to acclimatize to the weather itself. So yes, we all know about the weather. Not gonna spend too much time on that, but I want to get into some other issue. Now, one of the things I struggle with is, and you will too, because you are coming into a different country, and I like to say a different planet, because that's kind of what it feels like in the beginning for the first few months, maybe even longer. It was very difficult for my body to adjust to the food, even though the apple looks like the apple back home and the banana looks like the banana back home, likewise for the meat and everything else, but it is not. Let's just call it what it is. It is not. And so my stomach went through some struggles for a while too, because the food here is processed different, meat, fruit, everything. And so your body is not used to that. Your body don't even recognize it, as a matter of fact, because I found that I had a lot of flow for a while after migrating. I did lose some weight too, because like I said, your body is also adjusting to this new stuff that you're putting in, and new stuff that is not so good either. Because I'm from the Caribbean, we have fresh stuff there. You know, our animals are raised on the farm with natural products. Hopefully it's still the same, hopefully. But I had a lot of stomach problems after migrating, and I did lose some weight too. So that's something else too. Brace yourself for that. The other point, what I wish I knew, what I wish I was told prior to migrating, is that if you're not careful, to build connections, socialize, reach out to family back home, make phone calls, talk to people, there might be a phase where you're gonna be depressed for a while. I'm just being honest with you, because we're not thinking that the fact that this is gonna be everything that you know, everything that you're used to. Walking out to the front of your house, socializing with friends on the side of the road, going to the park, you know, hanging out with your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your cousin, whoever it is, that was your life. Now you're leaving all of that behind. to something that you have no idea what you're walking into. And even if you have family here, they have adjusted already, and they have probably gone through somewhat. You will have to also go through that journey where you are adjusting to this new environment. There are different seasons here. It's not like it's always sunshine, because it is not, and it's not always raining either. You go through the cold, you go through the heat, you go through the phase where the time changes, the daylight saving time thing. So what you'll find out that closer to the winter period, it gets darker pretty quick. So 4 or 5 o'clock, pitch black. Now, the not seeing sunshine or sunlight, that messes with your emotions in so many different ways. 4 o'clock, it's pitch black. What does that do for your psyche? What does that do for your mental health? Not all good. So no, that's a big challenge, man. That's a big challenge, because you find that you're not as mobile as you used to be. And I don't want to jump the gun on that one yet, but let's just finish with this psychological challenge first. Brace yourself for that mood change, that mood adjustment that you will have to go through, in terms of knowing how to balance and juggle and distract yourself with the change in the state of the weather pattern. So it's good to have a circle. Have a circle where you're in a circle of friends that you network with, you talk to. Maybe you go over to that person's home, you hang out, you call family back home. So one of the things that I did when I just came, and my port of entry wasn't Alberta. It was a small little rock in the middle of the ocean called St. John's, Newfoundland. And what I did to kind of deal with the emotional side of things is, at the time I only had my laptop, because I came over on a program. Don't want to diverge too much. I came over on a program where I have to go back to school, and I was also working part-time. So what I did to distract myself somewhat, I used to watch the news online every night. Now imagine, I wasn't watching news much back in Jamaica, but it's a way to kind of feel like you're still there, psychologically, emotionally. And so you're watching the news. Wasn't the most encouraging. When you're watching the news, you're hearing the reporters speak your mother tongue, your native tongue. You're seeing some of the things that are still happening back home, and it kind of it soothes you and distract you from reality. Yeah, I know, sometimes we need that, from reality. And that's kind of what I did. I watched the news every night. I'm watching news, weather, sports. I was doing this thing, but it's to build that connection. It's to soothe my mind, and not allow myself to crash into where I am too fast, too quick. So kind of still hold on to the culture, the environment, my home, mentally, to a certain extent. And so I did that, and that kind of worked. That worked for me for a while. And so yeah, that was one of my strategy. And it's more challenging when you move over, when you migrate alone. Hell, it's more challenging because it's just you, and it's something that you have to brace yourself for. So what I'm emphasizing here is what I wish I knew before migrating. And I'm not saying knowing all of these things is gonna change your mind about doing it. That's not my point here. Because the fact is that we all want better for our lives, for our future. And so we migrate for higher education. We migrate for better paying jobs. We migrate for a better quality life. And yes, all those things are good, but it doesn't mean that you're going to fall into it and life is going to be good. You still have to adjust to that environment, to that change, which oftentimes have its challenges. Now, there's another thing I wanted to also throw out there before I forget, but let me go back to my points here, and if I remember it, I'll throw it in. Okay, we talk about employment and career. Where your credentials are concerned, which is again your degree, your diploma, your license, whatever it is, it can be challenging to get foreign credentials recognized in Canada, which is your credentials. And so that's also something that you need to be thorough with your research on. Researching and understanding the process for credential recognition in your field is crucial. So let's say you are an electrician, you're in the trades. Now, from what I know about the trades here is that it's not the same. So if you have a diploma from whatever vocational training institution it is, just do your research as to what will I need to do to get those credentials evaluated, reassessed, to get something comparable to what is recognized in Canada. Find out the name of the institutions. See if those institutions are in the province that you are migrating to, or wherever in the states that is. And because you want to be able to get the best start possible when it comes to relocating, because one, maybe you have a family that you need to take with you and you're not taking them with you at the same time. Most oftentimes than not, one person come before the other to get established, to get set up, to lay some foundations, and then take the family over. And you don't want that to be too long, because you don't want to be away from your family for too long, especially if you have kids. So you have to be mindful about the start. The start is necessary. The start is not going to be easy, but you need a start that can get you caught up with a functional life, in terms of your finance, in terms of your settlement, where you're living, so you can lay the foundation for your family that will come after you. The other thing that you want to also know about is housing and cost of living. Now, let me just highlight this. Cities like Toronto, Vancouver are known for their high cost of living. It wasn't always that with Toronto though, but for some reason the economy has changed, particularly in terms of housing. Now, one, I don't know what your wallet is like, and it's something that I don't think we think about well enough as to doing the math. How much money do I need to have in my account to be able to get things going? Because one, you'll have to pay rent. Two, you want to at least be in a job where you can cover your expenses. Again, maybe your situation might be different, and it is for some. They're already coming where family is already established already, or they have a strong family foundation financially, so they've been given a purse with lots of coins to get themselves set up. But for those that those that are not privileged to those benefits, you have to get it right where the math is concerned in terms of how you are going to survive. Survival is absolutely important. Absolutely important. All right, now I have to touch on this because it's a reality. Community and integration. Now, under that subheading is dealing with racism. Can I say it one more time? Dealing with racism, because you're coming into that too. Don't be fooled. This is Canada. Yes, it's a little less evil when it compares to the US. And I'm making that, and if you disagree with me, put it in the comment. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But if you have experienced racism or form of passive aggressive forms of racism, please tell me, share your experience. I want to hear from you. But it's a reality here. And so that shouldn't hinder you from relocating to the beautiful country called Canada, because there are amazing white people here. There are amazing Canadians here. There are good people here. You know what? Because this thing used to be a big problem for me, racism and discrimination. Let me just talk about it for a little bit, because honestly, prior to migrating, I knew I was black, but I didn't know it was a problem for others. You watch it on the TV, but it's another thing when you experience it for yourself. And so it is something that you have to be mindful of. Not all white people are racist, okay? There are a handful here that you will have to be able to coexist with. And there are ways to do it. And I mean, I've held on to this motto, and we all know Michelle Obama on her well-known phrase, you have to keep your standards up, because you have to teach people how to treat you. You have to. And you can't come with any form of aggression and think that is going to be a means of changing what outlook someone have of your opinions, someone off of you. It doesn't work that way. You have to raise your standards, and you still have to live in accordance with what you believe is right. And what you believe is right is that everyone should be treated fairly. There are laws here that protect people of all race, creed, color. And so not because someone may not like you, it means that Canada is a bad place. That would not be true. It's absolutely not. I mean, I've worked with some amazing persons people who don't look like me, and that speak to the standards and the reality of the world. I've said this, that sometimes it's hard to differentiate if an individual is being discriminatory or racist towards you, or maybe they're just I should cut that out. Or maybe they're just not good people. And just like where we live in our home country, there are individuals there, they're just not good people. And sometimes you want to be cautious that, the experience that you're having is just an individual who is not developed, not evolved. And their behavior is just no different from the person from your country who, does things that are contrary to the law, or does things that are contrary to social etiquette. So don't be bothered by that, because it's the least of your worries when it comes to surviving in a foreign country. Because as far as I'm concerned, people, and someone taught me this too, and I went to another province. If you're in an environment where individuals are discriminatory or racist towards you, you know what he said to me? He said, that's their problem. That's not your problem. And that's it. It's simple. It's their problem, not your problem. If they don't like you, how is that your problem? And so you just move past that and focus on what you're here for. You're here to provide a good quality life for your family. You are here to do the best for yourself on an individual level. And you are here to be happy, man. And this place is so beautiful. There are wonderful people here. There are good people here, of all color, all creed. And there is a life here that will change your trajectory for your children in the long term too. And those are the goals that we need to be focused on. And in doing that, we, make changes to behaviors and attitudes in a very small way. And I know it's small, but it goes a long way. And so that is something that I wish I was educated on when it comes to the whole social integration and dealing with and bear in mind and knowing what I'm going to be encountering when it comes to racism and discrimination. It's a reality. It's not going anywhere. It will be here long after you and I are gone. But we can make the small changes wherever we go by being good people, good contributing member of society. And so those are some of the things. I hope that I'm not leaving out anything, but I'm sure there is more. And as time goes by, I see how best I can speak more to this topic, speak more to post-immigration, and speak to socialization, speak to integration, and speak to just overall mental health, community building, integrating into Canada and living your best life. My name is Joel Bennett. If you find value in this script, hit the like, subscribe, share. There's more to come. I know I've been away for a while, but it's called reevaluation. And sometimes life happens. You take care and bye.